The veterinary clinic was heavy with silence. White walls closed in, the lamps hummed, and on the metal table lay Max, a once proud German shepherd, now breathing in shallow bursts. His thick fur had dulled, and his chest rose with painful effort. Andrew sat close, cradling one of Max's ears in his palm. His voice shook as he whispered, "You were the best, Max. I'm sorry it has to end like this." The dog stirred faintly, eyes dim but searching for the familiar voice. With weak effort, he pressed his paw to Andrew's hand. Andrew bent forward, his forehead against Max's muzzle. Then, to his shock, Max lifted both paws and wrapped them around Andrew's neck, as if trying to hold him one last time. Tears streamed down Andrew's face, soaking into the fur. The doctor, Olivia Carter, the veterinarian, stood nearby with her assistant. The syringe was ready, a clear liquid glinting inside. The farewell seemed inevitable until Dr. Carter froze. Her brow furrowed as she tilted her head. Slowly, she lowered the syringe and pressed her stethoscope against Max's chest. "Wait," she whispered. Andrew looked up, startled. "What is it?" Her focus sharpened. The heartbeat was fragile, but not fading. The rhythm was odd, not the final beats of death, but the desperate fight of a body refusing to give up. "I can't do this," she said firmly. "Something isn't right." Hope flickered in Andrew's chest. He could hardly breathe. A moment earlier, he had been bracing himself for goodbye. Now Dr. Carter's expression had changed from sorrow to concentration. "His heart isn't giving up," she said. "It sounds like he's struggling, fighting." "But you said," Andrew's voice cracked. "That's what it looked like," she admitted. "But I want to check something else." Quickly, thermometer chart. Her assistant hurried. The beep of the thermometer followed minutes later. Dr. Carter frowned deeply. "Temperature's too low. Not organ failure. Could be infection or even poisoning." Andrew jerked his head up. "Poisoning? It's possible," she said. "If so, there's still a chance." Andrew's mind raced. He hasn't eaten anything but his usual food, except, he paused. "A few days ago he stopped eating. Just lay there, drained. I thought it was old age." Dr. Carter placed a steady hand on his shoulder. "You did right bringing him here, but this doesn't look like old age." She nodded to her assistant. "Prepare the 4 broad-spectrum antibiotics now. No time to wait for labs." The stand clinked as clear drops slid into the tube. Max whimpered softly, but didn't resist. Andrew squeezed his paw. "Hang in there, buddy. You're stronger than this." Hours passed. The clock ticked mercilessly, each second dragging. Andrew sat in the hallway, hands clasped tight enough to ache. He replayed the image of Max hugging him, a desperate embrace, when the end seemed certain. Midnight came. Dr. Carter finally approached, exhaustion etched into her face. Yet her eyes carried a spark of hope. Sitting beside Andrew, she said quietly, "He's stable. The next hours will decide everything. If his body accepts the antibiotics, he might pull through." Andrew covered his face with one hand, choking back sobs. "Thank you for not giving up." Dr. Carter gave a faint smile. "Neither did he. Neither did you." The night crawled. Andrew remained near the door, head in his hands, refusing to rest. Every time his eyes closed, he saw Max's gaze, loyal, weary, but alive. Just before dawn, the door opened. Dr. Carter stood there with a tired but softened smile. "You should come in," she said gently. "He's come around." Andrew leapt to his feet. His chest hammered as he stepped inside. Max lay on a fresh blanket, for beside it. His eyes were open. His tail tapped faintly against the cloth. "Max," Andrew whispered, rushing to his side. The dog pressed his muzzle into Andrew's palm. Relief swept through him like a wave. This wasn't the end. He sat down, stroking Max's head. The German shepherd closed his eyes, leaning into the touch. Dr. Carter checked his vitals, her voice steady but cautious. "He's responding. That's good, but it's too soon to relax." Andrew nodded, afraid to disturb the fragile moment. His thoughts drifted to the day he first brought Max home, a tiny pup in his hands, who grew into his fiercest protector and truest friend. Now, after all these years, fate was giving them another chance. Max opened his eyes again and gave a soft whine. Andrew leaned close. "I'm here. I'm not going anywhere." The dog shifted his paw, brushing against Andrew's hand, as if he understood. The hours stretched on. The assistant moved quietly, checking tubes, replacing bandages. Andrew barely moved. Memories flooded him. Walks in snowy woods, playful barks, evenings with Max curled by the door waiting for him. Each memory stabbed with love and fear. "You gave me everything," he whispered. "I'm not ready to let go." Max lifted his head with effort. Andrew held it in his hands. The dog's gaze was weary but alive, carrying one simple message: "I'm still trying for you." Dawn broke outside. Golden rays filtered through the blinds, spilling across the room. With every passing minute, Max's breaths grew steadier. His tail tapped faintly, a fragile rhythm of defiance. "Look," Dr. Carter said, leaning over the monitor. "His blood pressure is stabilizing. It's happening fast. Andrew's chest tightened with relief. He stroked Max's muzzle. Good boy. I'm proud of you. Exhaustion crept over him, his eyes heavy from sleepless hours, but he dared not rest. If he closed his eyes, this fragile hope might vanish. Then Max reached out, paw resting on his hand. Andrew understood. It wasn't a farewell. It was a vow. Dr. Carter watched, her voice soft. Sometimes animals are stronger than we think. A owner's love gives them strength. Andrew nodded, eyes glistening. I don't know what tomorrow holds, but I won't let him go through it alone. Morning arrived, light filling the clinic. The silence inside no longer felt lifeless, but heavy, filled with waiting. Outside, the city moved on, cars, footsteps, voices, but inside time stood still. Andrew sat at Max's side, listening to every breath, answering every twitch. Hold on, buddy. We'll get through this together. Dr. Carter checked the monitors, her fatigue shadowed by doubt. If he holds through the day, we might see a turn, she said, though her eyes betrayed hesitation. Andrew swallowed hard. He couldn't forget how close he had been to saying goodbye. If not for Dr. Carter's sharp eye, Max would already be gone. As if sensing his worry, Max snorted softly, flicking his tail weakly. Andrew smiled through tears. That's it, fighter. Hours passed. Andrew splashed water on his face, seeing a stranger in the mirror. Red eyes, worn skin, a man clinging to hope. Returning, he found Dr. Carter bent over Max, her brow furrowed. He's fading faster than I thought, she said quietly. We'll need to prepare. Andrew's throat tightened. No, he's strong. He just needs time to be evening. Max tried to lift his head, trembling as though each movement cost him everything. His eyes met Andrew's, clear for an instant before dimming again. Easy, Andrew whispered, holding him. Rest. That night, Andrew dozed by his side. A paw on his knee woke him, Max's eyes open and tired but searching. Andrew smiled faintly. You woke me up. We'll live on. But the dawn brought no promise. Dr. Carter entered and stopped at the door, her silence telling him more than words. He's slipping, she finally whispered. Andrew clutched Max's paw, panic rising. Stay with me, please. A few days later, Max was moved to a quieter ward. Andrew never left, watching every breath, listening through the nights. Each small rise of Max's chest gave him hope. Each pause tore him apart. Then came the storm. Thunder rattled the windows as Max whined, pushing himself up. For a moment, he stood, swaying, tail wagging weakly. Andrew dropped to his knees, hugging him. That's it, you're back. I knew it. But when Dr. Carter entered, her face was grave. He's giving his last strength, she said softly. Sometimes they do that. One final surge before the end. Andrew's heart broke. No, he can fight. He has more. Max pressed his snout against his shoulder, but this time it felt like a goodbye. His breathing grew shallow, uneven. Days blurred together. The machines beeped slower, weaker. Andrew stayed, stroking his fur, whispering stories of their life, showing him the old ball. Max listened, but his eyes grew distant, slipping away more each hour. One morning, Dr. Carter called Andrew in. Her voice was gentle, steady. The infection is gone, but his body can't recover. He's too tired to keep fighting. Andrew's voice cracked. If it wasn't for me, if it wasn't for him, she interrupted softly. He gave everything. The day of parting came at last. Andrew sat with the leash in his hands, though there would be no walk. He leaned close, forehead against Max's. I thought we had more time, he whispered. Max's tail gave a final twitch. His eyes found Andrew's one last time, full of loyalty, full of love, and then they slowly closed. His chest rose once more, then stilled. Silence filled the room. Dr. Carter stood quietly at the door, giving Andrew space. He wrapped his arms around Max, tears spilling freely. You were my best friend, he whispered through broken sobs. And you'll always be. Outside, spring had arrived. Trees budded, the sky shone after rain. But when Andrew finally stepped into sunlight, the world felt empty. The leash dangled loosely in his hand, swaying with each step, but no paws pattered beside him. For Andrew, every step home was heavier than the last. Max had given him everything, even his last breath. And now all that remained was memory, beautiful, painful, and eternal.